Hey, what's up everyone? Sinister Cloud here. Now I'm doing another tutorial video on how to clean your PS4 properly. I'm doing a full disassembly, so I will have the motherboard, the heatsink, the fan, absolutely everything out. We're going to do a full clean, and I'm also going to be showing you the most important bit is how to replace the old crusty rubbish thermal paste that Sony use in all of their consoles. What you're going to need to do this is the same as my last video, so you'll need a knife of some sorts to get the stickers off. You'll need a Phillips, a flathead, and a T8 or a T9 Torx security bit. That is the one with the little hole in the middle. Now I know mine is the first generation of PlayStation, so mine is a T8 for all of them. Some of the new ones allegedly are T9s. I don't have one, so I can't tell you, but get both just in case. What you'll also need to get when you get further in is an air duster of some sorts, a duster of some sorts. You will need some new thermal paste. I have the Arctic Silver 5, which I use to build my PCs. And then you will need the cleaner, kitchen roll, or a lint-free cloth. That is more preferable. I just use kitchen roll because it's to hand. And also a chemical cleaner. So I use isopropyl alcohol, if that's how you pronounce the bloody stuff. This is what I use to clean all of my CPUs and coolers for my PCs. That's the stuff you'll need to start. Okay. To start with, take the first cover off the PlayStation. Just a little bit of pressure sideways. Pulls it back. One finger under the front here, and it lifts straight off. Secondly, I would advise removing the hard drive now, because you're going to have to remove it later on to take the motherboard out. That is the Phillips, just here. Also, if you've never taken anything like this apart, or you're not confident in doing this, it's very easy. Just make sure that you note down where all the screws come from. You've got all these little screws all over the place that you need to take out. Now, I know where they all go, so it's not so much of an issue for me, but it's best to note them down. So once you've got the Phillips out, hard drive cage just pulls out, like so, and that is how you would then replace the hard drive if you wanted a bigger one. That's the easy part. Sony have been very good about being able to change the hard drives. However, this bit is the bit that voids the warranty. The last bit doesn't. Now you see you have two warranty void stickers here and two black stickers here. To do this, you will need to remove them all. So it's best just to get the blade in the edge and pull them off. Right, that exposes the first of the removable security bits. If you're doing the whole job and you're following this guide, might as well just take all of these screws out now. Right, try and keep each section separate. That is one way of being able to identify which screws go where. Right, to remove this panel, it is as easy as just lift in both corners and push forward, and that is it. Now mine is very clean. I've already cleaned this section of mine. I haven't really used it since I did the last video. However, I haven't cleaned anything from the power supply and the fan, so the rest of it is going to be filthy. Alright, just keep that separate. Now this is where we'll start getting into the more in-depth on the screws. This is where you want to start taking note. So the first bit we're going to remove is the power supply unit. So you have security or a Torx bit, and a Torx bit, and you have a Phillips and a Phillips. These are very long. These go straight down into the base. So if we take the Torx out first, alright, and if you get your Phillips screwdriver, take these two out. These ones are quite long, and they're also in a little metal cage, so if you just get underneath the tab, give it a little wiggle, and they will pull out, like so. Right, this bit is the first bit with a little bit of danger. I say danger, it's not difficult, but you just got to be careful. You'll see a little cable on the left of the power supply. If you just gently pinch, give it a little wiggle, that'll pull out. Some of them can be quite difficult, just be careful if you yank it. I'm not responsible for you breaking your power supply unit. If you yank on that, you could pull those cables out, and yes, you will damage it, so just be careful. Now, to get this out, it can be quite tricky, quite fiddly. There's one way I do this, and under here it's quite hard. It's not very breakable. Now what I do is I get the tool in just underneath the socket, just to try and give it a little bit of a wiggle, like so, because that bit is the bit that gets stuck. Don't let it drop all the way back down, and then lift the other side, and that will then come out. So this is the first major bit that will be dusty. All in here will be full of dust if it's old, or if you've got it in a non-ventilated room. So what you need to do is get your air duster, blow straight in here, make sure that none of the propellant tries to come out. The propellant shouldn't damage the components, but you just want to blow it all through there and blow it all out there. Use the duster to clean all the other components or parts of the PSU. One thing I would say, like I said in the last video, leave your PS4 unplugged overnight for at least 24 hours so that it has a chance to let the capacitors drain, so that you're not going to give yourself a shock. So you have a Phillips, and a Phillips, and this will remove the metal shroud on top of your Blu-ray drive. And that then comes off. There are locating pins, so you can't really put it on the wrong way. It will only go on one way when you go to put it back. Right. You do have to remove this ribbon, which is easy. There is a little metal tag right here, which you just pull back. So if you pull that back, just get your nail in, the ribbon will just come out, and you need to remove it from the bottom as well. Okay, the next one you need to remove will be this plug here. It will be that plug here. That wire goes all the way up to the chipset, and then this little tiny little coax cable there. This one you just gently lift off there, maneuver underneath the clips around the two little retaining clips here. It's not held in place by those, it's just located by them. And then just gently give it a wiggle and it'll come off. Simple as that. With this one, it can be very tricky, it can be very fiddly, and give it a wiggle when it's free. Again, with the last ones, be careful. You can repair these, but I don't really advise breaking them. They can be quite costly. Then push that under the little retaining clip, lift up, push out, there's a bit of dust, and that is then free. Next, you have to remove certain screws. Security bit from here, security bit from there, and there is a security bit located underneath there and there. Now, once you've got the three on the outside, you can leave the one in there for now. If you remove that, again, there's locating lugs for that. Alright, once you've done that, there's a Phillips just there to remove. That secures it to the frame. And then the whole thing, that is your Blu-ray drive. Make sure that once you've taken this screw out, either pull it out with some pliers, or if you've got thin fingers, do that. However, leave it in there for now, and then once you've got the whole thing out, just make sure you collect the screw. Right, that is then it for this side for the time being. Right, now you took that screw out earlier. Now you need to come around to the top of the PS4. Just be careful with your leads. Taking out your security bits again, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. However, just for this bit you just need to remove that one and that one. Now this part of the case can be annoying, but just lift there, need to prise it back and then pull up at the corner slightly, pull it up and away. You need to pull it up and away at the same time, and the top case will then come off. So this is where I've got to. As you can see, this is quite dusty. That is disgusting. So this will all need a clean. Right, once you've got all of your security or your Torx bits out, you will then have these two Phillips screws. Now these two screws are essentially the clamp for the heatsink to go down onto the processor. So as with any processor, you have to do it evenly. These are important. These cover the memory chips on the motherboard. Don't lose these thermal pads because they allow the memory chips to disperse of the heat. So they want to be as central as possible and make sure that they're reasonably clean and that you don't lose them. Right, now for the motherboard. This bit is very important. This little cable here, which I believe is for the fan, or I think it's the fan control cable, using a flat blade, just get underneath it and lift it off. And then bend the cable back very slightly. The motherboard is free, so you just need to lift it from here over these guide pins here. Don't lift this metal cage underneath. Make sure you just lift the corners of the motherboard and wiggle it out very slightly, going up at the same time, just taking care because you have all of your connectors at the back and you need to avoid catching them on there. And then the cage will just lift straight off. Then you have your heatsink, your motherboard tray, caked in dust, and that is one of the problems, that when people do these clean builds, they stop where I said you could stop before, and they don't clean in depth into here, and that will be causing some issues with your cooling. Right. Also, you have a little metal bracket here. Now that will just lift off. There might be a sticky pad on it. It's not an issue. Just pull it away. That's just a grounding plate by the looks of things. And then the fan will literally just lift off. And there you go. You'll be able to check if your bearing's good in the fan. No noise. So now you can give it a proper good clean. Clean all of that. And then you'll be ready to put it back together. Right, now that the base is clear as well, we can start the reassembly process. Obviously we're going to be doing the thermal paste when we come to putting those components back in, but it's best to make sure that the components go back in exactly the reverse order. So, fan, 2 mounting pins, and a third one there. And then as I have, as you can see, I've got screws in each little section as I've taken them all off, going down. So all I need to do is work back this way. Right, that is the fan done. So once you've got the fan back in, when you put this ground plane back on, make sure there's a little tab here, and this little sticky pad goes there. You can see the marks where the sticky pad goes. There's two little corners. Make sure that when you go to put it back on, this tab goes over this little plastic bit here, so it sticks on, slots on, and then it locates like that. The little sticky tab, doesn't matter if it sticks because it will be clamped in a minute, just stick on both this bit and that bit. That way it grounds to the fan, so that can't build up any static and cause damage to the system. Right, now for the motherboard tray. Two mounting points here, can only go on one way. If you're confused as to which way it's going to go on, part where the hard drive goes, the hard bit, is the part where the hard drive goes in the cage. You can't really get it wrong because the two mounting points are there. Alright, then you need to put the 3 screws back in as before, into those 3 holes right there. Right, once you've got those 3 put in, it's about time we start cleaning the thermal paste. Now, as I said before, you need a cleaner and either a lint-free cloth or some kitchen roll. Now, kitchen roll is good because it doesn't really have, it's not really fibrous. So when you're trying to wipe this off here, it's not really going to come apart. So the isopropyl, just pop it on top, give it a turn, then hold it on for a couple of seconds, and then just gently start wiping away, and it comes off. Right, once you've got the majority of it off, get a clean sheet, and then give it a once over to make sure that all the residue is completely gone. And then we can do the same with the motherboard. Now that it's clean, as you can see, nice and shiny, no old thermal paste there, and importantly, there's no old thermal paste on the motherboard carrier. Now it's time to apply this. There are loads of different ways to apply this. Less is more. The easiest way is the P method. Just need a drop in the middle, and that's it. You don't need any more than that. You don't need to squirt the whole tube on. That's about right. That's perfect. Don't need any more than that. Any more than that is just going to be a waste, and it's going to do exactly what the last lot did, and it's just going to splay out the sides and be a disgusting mess. Alright, when you're ready to locate CPU or the processor onto the board, this cable here and the power pins need to locate through this hole here. So if you dry fit it, put the cable, power pins in there, pull it back ever so slightly, lift it up so that all of your ports can go in the back along here, and then it'll just slot, the USBs will slot just down into there, and it will locate. And gently just push down the sides of the pins there, and that will compress your thermal paste slightly. Then you're ready to refit going backwards. So first thing is this fan cable here. Just gently line it up, making sure there is only one way it can go on, and it will click like so. And the fan, the top cage, making sure that all of your thermal compound pads are on there. Locate that back on top, like so. And the first thing to do is get your plate, line the plate up, get your 2 large Phillips screws, and gently locate those. Right, once they start biting, they need to be done evenly, so get it about just till it's getting to about where it's starting to grip, then do the other side, and then you want to go down nice and even so it spreads the load across the board like so. There we go. And then it's just about rebuilding. Right, as you can see, I have 2 screws left over. The reason for that is because you have to leave that one and that one there, because that one there locates onto the cover, and so does that one. So slide it onto the back, and then once it's in position it will locate down, and as you can see you have 1 screw there and 1 screw there ready to go in. Now at this point you can, if you want, pop the hard drive cage back in, but as soon as we're doing it in reverse order, you might as well leave that till last. So we have the Blu-ray drive, so what I would do is put that screw into this hole first of all so that you don't forget it, because that is the one that is difficult to get to if you start reassembling it. So make sure that you've got that in the hole first. Then it's just a case of gently popping the Blu-ray drive back down onto its position. Then do the cable management first, so make sure these cables get located round. And then gently pop the clip back in. Next we can do this coax cable that we removed earlier. So at the front here, a couple of locating pins, just goes on there like so. And then run this over the ribbon here and clip it into the clip there, down through under that little locating point there, through those 2, and then gently, very very gently, you can see it's very very small, so just gently pop that back on. It will give 1 click, and then you can make sure that your cables are in the correct position. What I would now do is just make sure that you remember to tighten that down there. Then we have the ribbon. It will only go on one way, the way it came off. So gently wiggle it into position. Same with the bottom one. They're very fragile, so you don't need to force them. They will just slot in and they won't pull out, so just be careful. Make sure they're nicely located. And this one will go over the top, like so. This is already folded into the position that it was before. And then you have the 3 screw holes, one there, one there, one there. Then we have the power supply. Wind the cable out of the way, locate the pins very gently, slot down and just gently push down evenly so that the pins locate into place, and then pop your little plug back into the side. There we go. And then refit as before. Right, that is the power supply done. So we can go ahead now and refit the lower panel. So slide it over the back. And then click into place. And that's it. So then we can put all these 4 back in with the little black screws with your Torx. Okay, flip back over. Last bit to do is insert the hard drive. The very last bit is to replace this cover. So click. And voila! One very fresh PS4 with new thermal paste and completely clean. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope it has helped you understand why the PS4 may be so loud and sound like a jet engine, because they are horrific when they're loud like that. It's very, very easy to do this. All you need is a little bit of patience. Just get the right tools. Don't use a Hoover because it's just more hassle than it's worth. Give yourself enough space and you'll be fine. If you've got any questions, drop me a comment. Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video and it's been a help. That would be brilliant. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.